Welcome to another episode of our podcast, LC University. We explain leadership choices to leadership choices, all the different aspects, the facets, the resources that we have in our company, and how you can benefit from them or how you can utilize them. And Anna, today we have a very interesting and relevant topic, and that is how do we actually manage quality and ethics in our company?
Yes, indeed. I think this is the condition without which we can't really do our profession.
Absolutely. And we have two guests who have been here in this podcast before. Doris van de Zandt, Uwe Achterhold. Doris, can you say a few words about who you are in LC, what you do?
Okay, I'm Leadership Choices partner, and I've got two roles. One is that I'm co-head of the coaching master program, which is a level 2 accredited ICF coach training program. But I think more interesting in this context is that I'm looking after the coach quality calls. And I'm sure that Uwe will say more about these calls. And besides that, I'm also a member of the ethics committee of ICF Germany. And I'm also a credentialed supervisor and a mediator, apart from being an ICF MCC.
Thank you, Doris. And Uwe, you are next to others also my partner in crime, but you also are here in a very special capacity. What's your role when it comes to quality?
Yes, today I think it's really a very special role because I'm also the head of our Cosmic system, and Cosmic is steering the whole process of quality. So that's very important, and I think we have some really interesting hints for our associates why Cosmic is important and why it's really important that they maintain the activities in the system to make our quality system run.
Okay, so let's go through this step by step, shall we? So it starts with, we have a coaching mandate. One, we have matched a coach. The coaching, before the coaching can start, there is one thing that needs to happen in the back end. This is that there is a work assignment sheet accepted, and then there is a Cosmic engagement created. And what is important then, Uwe? How is the QA part, quality assurance part, integrated into the Cosmic process?
Yeah, there's a workflow implemented in the Cosmic system. And if you have your engagement in Cosmic, so the frame of your work is clear, you know how many sessions you have, you know what to do, you know what the client is expecting, all that is defined in the engagement. And now you start as an associate to do your coaching. So, and as we know, coaching is absolutely confidential. So you are alone with your client in a room, and whatever happens behind the doors, it's between you and your coachee. But after you leave the room again, you should immediately enter this activity in the Cosmic system, saying the system, I have done a coaching. Nothing about the content, just, but no, I have done it, and the duration, whatever you need to make the commercials work. So, and activity by activity, you work down your budget in the engagement, and as soon as half of the budget is used, normally it's half of the budget, the workflow triggers an impulse which goes to Doris. And the impulse says, okay, here we are in the middle of an engagement. So it would be good now to have an QA call with your coachee and see what is going on and what maybe can get improved.
Okay, and QA call is our jargon for quality assurance call. And Doris, there you reach out to the coach to set up an appointment with the client or help you find an appointment with the client. What do you do there, and what do you do in this call?
Okay, first of all, I get a so-called call for action that a quality call is due. And then my first step is to contact the respective coach, telling him or her that this call is due, and would you please inform your client that I would like to do this call with your client in the very near future. And I always also send a link that leads to something in the leadership choices system. It's called Simply Book. And with just the click of one mouse, everyone can see my calendar and the open slots. So that's the very fastest way to get this appointment done. Okay, that sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes I need to contact the client, or I need to contact the coach or the client a couple of times. So there is not just one way it works. It could be a very short one, or it could be a very lengthy one. Then, as soon as the interview starts, I, just for the sake of ethics and transparency, I explain what this call is about and who gets the information, saying that, of course, I won't be asking anything about the content of the coaching, which is, I think, self-understood, but just for the sake of transparency. But apart from that, that I won't ask these questions, it still remains confidential, with the exception that the coach, of course, will get a report from you afterwards, and that there are a couple of questions precisely for where the client would be asked to give a value on the scale of 1 to 10, and defining that scale, how well he likes it, how good certain things are done. And that these numbers go into the leadership choices system, and that the average figures for the monthly satisfying values would be drawn out of that. And apart from that, I've got a couple of questions, 2 or 3 questions in the end when it comes to further recommendation, and have they had any previous experience with leadership choices, and that these bits of information would go to also into the leadership choices system. And if there is something that should pop up that is sort of out of the normal, then I would also ask the client's permission to address that with either the client partner or someone else in the system. But normally it's totally confidential, apart from these 4 values that go into the system. And that's normally what happens. A call takes about, what, 25 minutes on average. It could be a bit shorter. Some people feel really the need to tell me a lot of more things, and I learn a hell of a lot. Sometimes it takes a bit longer than 30 minutes, but that's totally also up to the client.
Thank you, Doris. So, I mean, key takeaway is it's a scripted conversation. It's highly professional. There are few values that are quantified, and these 4 values calculate the QA score, quality assurance score. And now over there is obviously we have a bit of a warning system. So this is the maximum QA score that one can have is 10.0. What happens if the value gets too low? What is happening then?
Yeah, and Doris has closed the call, then she enters the values into the system, so that Cosmic knows about it. And if the value is below 8, which is quite seldom, to be honest, if it's below 8, then the client partner also receives an email saying, okay, have a look. Here we have a QA call, which may be critical. That's not always the case, because we have always to face individual coaches on the other side. And there are some coaches which rarely give something above 8, because they know 8 is really good. And if you can't come to a 10, it's not possible. There's always room for improvement. We have coaches like that. So it's not always a drama if we have a score below 8. But it's a good reason to have a closer look to the report which Doris has prepared out of the call. And if you go through the report, you can quite clearly see if it's really something which is in the coaching and where we should have a conversation with the coach about. Maybe it's more consulting than coaching, things like that. Maybe there are some other things behind it. Chemistry is not working well, things like that. So that's something why we have Doris to do the calls finally, and not anyone in a call center, because she as a coach can listen to the coachee also in between the lines, and so we get an impression what's really going on. So, and if it's something in the coaching which leads to this score below 8, as said, then we have a conversation with the coach as well to talk to him how he sees the situation and what can be improved and how we go forward with that.
Yeah, that's a really tricky thing, because just yesterday I had another interview with a client who said, yeah, here I will give an 8 because that's very good for me. And I said, okay, what would your coach do to get a 9? Oh, a 9. And then sometimes they can't even tell. And some people easily and give a 10 because they think that has been really great. It has been matching all my expectations. Some people start by saying, in principle, I never ever give a 10. An 8 is very good for me, and 7 is already good. And that is very, very individual. It's like, probably, I don't know if that's a good comparison, the amount of sugars that you need for your coffee. And for some it tastes already good without, and some need, I don't know, 3 spoons or so. And sometimes when I do ask the question, do you see any room for optimization? They say, no, everything has been fine. And then when we come to the figures, and they come up with a 7 or an 8, which is not so often the case, but it happens. And then they say, yes, but a 7 for me is good. And when I then ask, yeah, what do you need for an 8? Then it's sometimes something where the coach can't do anything about, like, oh, I would have liked to have more hours with the coach.
Right. So in other terms, it's very individual, and
Right.
we take it with a grain of salt. There's no automized process in the sense of if value X is below 8, then cancel coaching or anything. It is just have a conversation, have a look into it. Maybe it's totally easily to explain. Maybe it needs to be something to be investigated. And the client partner also plays a role because he or she is representing LC, towards this client, is in charge of that. So it's this team kind of that gets together, and it's a collegial approach rather than a you did something wrong kind of approach. I think that's also important that we assume that everything went well. We just want to understand how we can improve going forward. Now,
exactly.
Anna, there's another component is sometimes when we coach, we feel that something isn't quite right in terms of chemistry, or somehow the dynamic between coach and client is difficult, or even there's something going on the LC side. Maybe the collaboration client partner coach is not perfect. So when we have coaches, associate partners that experience that, what do we have there as an offering? What can they do in order to address that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do have a very popular format that is peer coaching. We do that regularly, and you're invited to bring a client case from your daily or not so daily coaching practice, and you can really be very transparent about this. It stays amongst us as colleagues, and you can say, I have a tricky client. I have a problem with this kind of coaching. It doesn't seem to work. Please, can I tap into the collective intelligence on that? And that normally works like a charm.
And by the way, this is for LC and non-LC mandates, right? If you have a difficult situation outside of it doesn't matter. It's professional exchange. We all learn from this, and it might be relevant for other cases. So you're very welcome to bring this. And this happens on a regular basis. Where do we find those appointments? You will ask yourself, how do I get an overview what is happening? So there's one answer. You need to be in the LC Social WhatsApp group. Be there or be square, because there you can see all the reminders of what's happening in 2 days. If you want to be ahead of the curve, you need to make an effort to get on the Eventbrite page, and that is in your onboarding package. You can ask for anybody that can help you with that, and bookmark it, please. We have an Eventbrite page for LC University. There, all internal events are posted. You simply register and you get it into your calendar. It's a piece of cake, but we don't want to invite everybody to everything, and this is why we offer this, so that you can select what you are interested in. Okay,
The
good.
thing is also about the peer coaching. It has a double, triple effect. So one effect is also one, I get some insights into what could I do with the situation. Should I flag it? Should, you know, is there something that I'm doing and I'm not aware of that? So you get some really valuable insight. The other thing is, you have that feeling of really not being alone. It's like, you know, because we do it if the time is enough, we do various rounds of that. So you say, oh yeah, I'm not the only one experiencing a tricky situation with a client or clients. And another effect on top of that is also what we call from a complexity point of view, we call that entanglement. So we get to know our colleagues. Yeah, we get to know the, you know, as I said, the collective intelligence or the help, and it's really just it's a level of care that you experience in the peer coaching, and yeah, you get to know your colleagues better.
Yeah, thank you.
And just to add here a piece of Cosmic again, if you face such a situation as described by you, Carsten, and you simply want to have a quality assurance call with your coachee, you don't have to wait for the workflow. You have also a button in your engagement which you can click, and you can start this quality assurance call process also manually.
See, I learned something now. This even I didn't know.
Can I ask again for, you know, new associates, quality assurance calls, that sounds a bit ominous. So do I have to be afraid that I'm being, you know, I have, you know, of the words we all are afraid of, we need to talk, you know, it's like, please schedule.
This is headquarters. We are here to help. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's for support, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So Doris, I mean, this is, I think the point is really that we are coming from a collegial standpoint. You have earned your credentials, you're super qualified, you've gone through the onboarding. We assume that you do great work and that you are top of your trade. And with this assumption, we have the QA call. And if something is out of the norm, or out of the usual, we simply have a conversation, try to understand, try to point out. And I mean, the same is true for everybody. I mean, we are all coaches, we all get QA calls, and not every QA result is super, super, super great. Sometimes there is something that you can improve, or where the client is not feeling quite comfortable, and it's just part of being professional.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a support for our colleagues, because sometimes there is something in the room and the coach wouldn't even answer it when being asked if there's anything that could be optimized. But it's only when you read between the lines and you start drilling a tiny bit that these bits and pieces suddenly surface. Some clients already say, okay, I've prepared for this call and I've took some notes and so. But sometimes it's only the opportunity to talk with someone who is not part of the coaching conversation, that certain things come up or are reflected which wouldn't be otherwise and are just between the lines.
Yeah, and sometimes it's simply it helps to understand, and it helps to raise conversations between coach and coachee as well. Just a few weeks ago, Doris had a QA call with one of my coachees, and I read in the protocol that he would like to be coached at his office location. So I didn't do that because at the beginning he asked me not to coach him at his office location, to go to a different place because he wanted to be apart from his office in the coaching situation. So I learned something, and yes, I had the next coaching last week, and I asked him, okay, would you like me to come to your office location? Should we do it next time there? Oh yes, that would be great. So sometimes the simple
easy,
things,
right?
simple things which are easy, it helps just to have a neutral view from Doris in this case, and that can raise nice conversations with your coachee as well.
Wonderful. I think we have shared some. Sorry.
Maybe in addition to that, the coachee is informed, the coach is informed whenever a QA call happened. But over time, you gather hopefully a lot of QA calls in your portfolio, and there is a good chance for you, a good way for you to find all the results at one place, so that you can have a look what happened, and maybe you can see something in these ongoing row of QA calls, which helps you to learn something about yourself. And the way to it is your dashboard in the Cosmic portal. Because there you can find all the QA calls which have been made for your engagements at one place with the scales and with the protocols and all this kind of stuff. So you don't have to search in all the specific engagement. You have them at one place. And sometimes it may be worth to have a look what happened in these QA calls for your engagements in the last year or maybe 2 years.
Great point. I think, thank you very much. It's very appropriate, Anna. I think we learned again something about leadership choices. And this is probably something that is interesting also for the other colleagues to hear. And well, thank you, Doris. Thank you.
I have another question.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we haven't mentioned ethics yet. And I know that this is a very important topic.
Oh, now you have 2 people here in the call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the next hour is busy now, Anna.
Yeah, because Uwe used to be member of the ICF Germany ethics groups for 3 years. We were colleagues in the same group. So yeah, I think that's a very super interesting topic.
And what do we do if there's something where we feel, is this some ethical behavior? I'm not sure, or I'm in a dilemma. What do I do then? The answer would be one option we discussed already, Anna, is the peer coaching format, right? Then what are other options? We have different communication channels. Uwe and I, we have a regular coffee chat channel, which is like we are available for an hour on a cup of coffee with Uwe and Carsten. And that is also inviting tea drinkers, definitely. And we can talk about anything, including ethics. But what could be other options how people can address any sort of ethical concerns?
Well, if it's an ethical concern, as a member of the ICF Germany Ethics Committee, I always get approached, and I guess my other colleagues will are approached as well, because we keep that confidential. But it's sometimes it's very, very interesting, especially when it comes to the borderline between coaching and say therapy, because for instance, there's been a case with a LC colleague who gave me a phone call and said, I really don't know how to handle this. I've got this client who I'm coaching to improve his communication style, but this is getting more and more weird, and I'm fearing that that he needs therapy more than coaching. But if I tell this to the for instance, HR partners, I don't want him to be sort of singled out that he needs therapy. And I don't know if I could tell them without breaching my contract with confidentiality. And the guy has opened up to me, and I don't want to punish him by going away and talking about it to third people, and it might harm his career. For instance, these are really tricky questions.
Okay.
And of course, there are sort of guidelines how to deal with that. In the end, the coach, him or herself, has to take the responsibility, him or herself. But what we can do is always to mirror it from different perspectives and then see to find the best solution.
So we have different opportunities already. So there's the peer coaching format. There's the cup of coffee with Uwe and Carsten format. There's reaching out to you, and also reaching out to other colleagues who I have a good rapport with, where I have trust with. Any LC colleague will make him or herself available for a chat to help somebody who is struggling, because we all know that eventually we will need the same favor of somebody. So this is something that within the LC community works pretty easily and pretty fine. So when you need something, feel free to reach out and ask for help. That's very important. And don't be shy. I think that is the key message here.
And we talked now about the ICF ASIC rules a lot, but we have also a lot of coaches which are certified by the EMCC, DBVC, so I think it's important to mention that we as Leadership Choices feel that the ICF ethics guidelines, that's the base for our understanding of ethics.
Yeah, and it's even in our contracts. Each associate has signed a contract, and paragraph 10 of that contract says Code of Ethics, and it says associate commits in his or her behavior as a coach to act according to the Code of Ethics of the International Coach Federation or the European Mentoring and Coaching Council. And last sentence, associate will undertake self-development work where necessary to ensure that his or her coaching competencies are oriented towards the ICF or EMCC coaching core competencies. It's something everyone within LC has signed.
Very good. So I think we have now circled around the topic very, very well. I think that's very, very helpful. Anna, any last questions?
No,
or
I'm fine.
piece of insights? Good. Then thank you very much, dear colleagues, for shedding light on this topic. And and for you, if you have questions and you listen to this, do write us an email. You know where to find us. Reach out to Doris, to Anna, Uwe, myself, or just come to one of the open chat formats that we have. Thanks for listening in, and see you next time in our podcast at the university. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.